Okay, so this is a work order coming from the quote. If you remember that this quote has two items, we put in the quote the 600 labor price and then the 5,000 material price. And then when I convert the quote to the work order, I tell the system I don't need the cost because I want the real cost showing and show me what is the margin, what is the percentage of profit, right? So at this moment, before we do anything, the cost for this work order is zero and the price is there. And we don't want this price change. Um, and the first thing is this price schedule, we want to take it off. We want to take it off. So now I do it manually because I haven't set up the script. Later, once the script is set up, when we convert a quote to a work order, the price schedule will be cleaned up. All right, so that's the first thing we're going to do is make sure the price schedule is not set up. And then we are going to, record some appointment for this work order. But before that, we will need to set up the correct service code. If that's a service code which is done by which is related to a quote, my suggestion is we are going to select a service code which is not going to generate revenue, but is going to record our cost correctly. What does that mean? So, for example, this is non-billable. This is ZZ non-billable. This is for demo, but we have the same situation here. We can use the Z non-billable service code so that there's no revenue is going to generate it for the appointment. All the revenue is going to generate it by this parts we already converted from the quote. But we want the system correctly track the cost for this work order. For example, every hour we pay our technician $50, something like that. So the cost is correctly captured. To make that happen, we will need to select a correct service code. All right, so actually I create a service code in the backend, which is called quote. And this quote will charge our customer $0 for appointment, but capture the correct cost from our technician. So I pick this service code and then I just go through the normal process for schedule this work order and schedule for example, let's schedule for who I'm here. Who am I? Okay, let's just schedule for, let's say, for Zach. And then the appointment is today. Let's say it's supposed to spend 5 hours there. All right, we could. And then for the appointment, our technician Zach, he he complete this work order for 5 hour and 1 minute, and then we good on that. So take a look at this appointment. At this appointment, the rate hour, you can see it here. This is our billing part, right? He has 5 hours work, but the price is zero, which means we are not going to double charge our customer on the appointment, but we are going to record the cost for this work order. And then because of this 5 hours, we want to see, okay, so in total, our revenue is how much, our cost is how much, right? It's not under this parts tab because this is only related to parts. If you want to get a invoice preview, go to the invoice tab, click the generate totals, and then when it's on generate totals, you should be able to see here is the revenue, here is the cost, and then here is the margin. Here's the margin percentage. I know it's a little bit high because my cost is only the 5 hours work for Zach, and there's no cost for my material yet. But you can see here is the um, here is the invoice that going to create it, which has two lines for revenue, $5,600 for genuine labor, and one labor for my ZAC 5 hours work with the correct cost. But revenue is zero because the revenue is covered in my quote. All right. And then if you have, for example, you really have a purchase order, and this purchase order is something you're going to buy from your vendor, right? It's purchase order is material, and the item request is one. You, for this purchase order, you are not going to charge your customer any money because you already charged him 5,000, right? So we put price here zero, but actually you spend 3,000 from vendor, right? You buy this item 3,000 from vendor, buy materials. Okay. At first, the purchase order is required once we select this item. This is what we want. And then we want to select who is our vendor. All right, I just randomly pick one and then save it. A stock location. All right, good. A stock location. And then at this moment, you can see that let's go back to this work order invoice, and then I generate invoice again. And you can see now at this moment that my revenue is this amount. My cost is this amount, $3,000 material, $300 labor. And here's my margin, here's my margin percentage. And then here's what I got for my invoice. For my invoice on the revenue, again, it's this amount, right? It's coming from the two items I have in my quote. And the cost, it's coming from this part is the cost for the material, 3,000. And this cost is the cost for my appointment hours. So this is the total cost, total revenue, and total margin. All right. So now I am happy about this. So I'm going to generate my invoice. Um, and I'm going to mark this. Oh, I cannot because I will need to mark this purchase order as received and fulfilled. 1 second. Okay. And now I'm going to complete the work order. I complete it. I'm going to close it. And I am going to generate invoice for that. All right. So for the invoice I generated, I click the invoice button. I have the invoice generated, and you can see here's the invoice. Here on the invoice, you can see that the total is this amount. Okay. And the total cost is this amount. So we have the correct total and the correct cost on the invoice level. And of course, on this work order level, um, you can see the report for the work order. Inside the reports, the BI and the dashboard. I can't remember which is the one, but of course you can still see the number of this total amount and cost and the margins. So let's do a very quick review, or maybe this is a slow review on what we did. First, on the part, these two items, the last two rows, this two items is what we added from quote. So this number and this number is going to be the price show in our invoice, right? All right. Okay. This line is the line with PO needed, and it's a place that we want to record our real cost instead of the price, right? So the price is zero, but the cost is the real cost for this purchase order. All right. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is on the appointment level, for the work order appointment, make sure you select the correct service code so that the system know, okay, so for all of your hours, I am not going to create price, which is any revenue generated. We don't going to generate any revenue, but we're going to capture the correct cost for all of the appointments so that when we create an invoice, we will have the correct invoice detailed. So this two, the last two line is the revenue generated one, which is coming from the quote, right? And the top two, the first line is the line, this one is zero price, zero amount of price, because this PO needed item, it has a cost of 3,000, but no price, right? And then we have this labor hour as well. It does not have any price, but it has a unit cost, which is $60 per hour for our technician to record the correct cost. All right, so this is what we have on the invoice.